Yo, what is up, everybody? We are Sean and Luch with Loudmouth Off the Top Rope from Loudmouth Sports Group, Loudmouth Sports Talk. We are the bros that run this show. Simple as that. Folks, make sure today get your Loudmouth t-shirts on sale, $20. Great material, bombshellbowling.com/Loudmouth Sports Talk. Also on there, for the next 5 weeks, we got our Loudmouth muscle t-shirts, white tees on sale, $20. So get them while they're hot, folks. We got a great show lined up for you already. We already got a great show lined up for you. We're going to go over a little bit of what's going on this week.
Hey, looking like a broke Bret Hart.
You're right. I am a broke Bret Hart. Nice.
That's
one,
a good one, Jay.
That's a good one.
Jay, come on now.
Jay, we like it. We like it. We are two broke Bret Harts right there.
Okay. No, I'm the bro that runs the show.
But definitely, folks, it is we're going to go over a little bit of what recap this week, just some wins and losses throughout this week of Raw, SmackDown, AEW, and SmackDown, AEW, NXT. And then we are going to have on Hayden Farah. Hayden Farah, IWC, RWA, and PWX Indie Star is going to be on our show for the rest of the show for interviews. So, folks, please get your questions in. We'll ask the questions for you, and he will answer them. He is going to be an open book on our show today. To get started right away, Luch, give us a little recap between Raw, SmackDown, AEW, NXT. Give us the wins and losses.
All right. So on Raw, I started with the VIP lounge with guest Dolph Ziggler. You know, they're trying to get it out of him. What is it going to be? Just doesn't, it just doesn't happen. And Drew Dolphin hits Dolphin, everything. So just little brawl, whatever. Viking Raiders versus Angel Garza and Andrade elimination tag match, which I like to see order things come back.
Right.
Angel and Andrade win. Iconics versus Ruby Riott and Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair and Ruby Riott won. Ruby Riott. And that was a good match, actually. And glad to see Bianca Belair back. Tozawa versus R-Truth.
Yes.
R-Truth. It was about to fight, and then Shayna Baszler comes back.
Yes, Shayna Baszler. Thank you.
Get ready. She tells the women's division, get ready. Then Seth cuts promo about the match. Black versus Murphy. Then everyone surrounds the ring, and I believe it ends in a disqualification. KO versus Seth, and then KO wins that with a stunner. R-Truth versus Randy Orton. It was RKO. It was a simple RKO for the win. Lashley versus Ricochet. Lashley wins. Banks and Bayley versus the Kabuki Warriors for the women tag titles. Really good match, but Sasha and Bayley win. Then we're going to take it over to AEW Fight of the Fallen. It was like a little pay-per-view because the big match for Fyter Fest couldn't happen with Moxley because of Renee Young. So we had Cody Rhodes versus Sonny for the TNT Championship, the ugly title. Cody wins. Good match, a really good match.
And the Denny menu.
Oh my God, he needs the. And getting tired of it. Lucha Bros versus FTR. FTR won because he ripped his mask off, and it was nice. Jericho comes out and cuts a promo about Orange Cassidy. Cassidy dumps orange juice on him, and then he screams, "It's like a $7,000 jacket. You ruined it." And then Jurassic Express versus the Elite. Really good match. Really good match. And the Elite win. Obviously.
Obviously.
It can't be any other way. And then the Nightmare Sisters, which is Brandy and I cannot think of the other girl's name. Sorry. Versus Kenzie Page and MJ Jenkins. Nightmare Sisters. When Vicky is the manager of Nyla Rose.
Yes, I seen that.
I like to see Vicky back. I think Vicky plays her part very well. She knows exactly what she's doing. And I'm
to see Vicky
happy.
back. I'm happy to see her back in the business.
That's very true. And then we had Brian Cage versus Mox. Mox wins by Taz throwing in the towel. And then listen, my boy is back.
Darby
Allen.
Allin.
Darby Allin, baby, is back. And I am pumped to see what he is going to do with Cage. I know it's going to be a very good feud. I really hope that they write it and do everything well.
And there was a Twitter like right after, not long after that Taz put out saying that he was protecting his arm because he didn't want to see another bicep tear like he had prior 10 months he was out for 5 months with a bicep
Understandable.
tear. So but I guess Cage tweeted back and saying that he knows his body better than anybody else. All he needed was an arm to lift him up. And so, I mean, all he said all he had to do was get rid of one arm.
So it might be
so
we might be a little thing.
Might be a little breakup here coming shortly.
And then we go to NXT.
Yes.
Starts with the new Double Crown champion, Keith Lee. And he brings out Dominic. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name because I'll butcher the hell out of it. And he gets a title shot. Then it's Damian Priest versus Cameron Grimes. Good match. Priest won. Then we go to Shawn C versus Indy Hartwell. Hartwell wins with the help of Robert Stone and Aaliyah. Dominic, that name, I don't know it, versus Keith Lee for both titles. Lee wins was a good match. They actually did go back and forth pretty well. Timothy Thatcher versus Denzel DeJournette. Thatcher wins by submission. I love to see him do the submissions. Tegan Knox versus Io Shirai. Io wins with the moonsault. Really good match. I'm starting to love that they're ending the night with women's matches. It's just like, in my opinion, the women actually try a little bit harder. I'm just being honest. Like, they put out a hell, like, they try harder.
Yeah, they do. They put on a good show.
They do. Then we're gonna go to SmackDown, which it's Cesaro versus Big E. Winner picks stipulation at Extreme Rules. Cesaro wins. He picks a tables match since they've been bringing tables out to try to put Big E and Kofi through. It was either between a steel cage or a tables match. I would have liked to see a steel cage. I haven't seen a tag team steel cage in a very long time.
It'd have been nice to see a steel cage match,
especially with them four.
I
think it would have been awesome. Then we had Bayley and Sasha versus Asuka and Nikki Cross. Bayley wins by using the rope. Then it's John Morrison versus Braun Strowman. Okay, before this, Bray Wyatt cut a amazing promo.
Yes, he did.
Amazing, 5-star. Braun came out and was like, I have to go back home. I have to go to hell, and look the devil in his face and slap him. And I have to kill Bray Wyatt before he brings the Fiend. And he goes on. And then he goes down to the ring. Why Vince or whoever should have booked it to where he throws the mic down, walks out before he leaves the ring or the arena. Sorry, the arena. Have someone run up, Braun, where are you going? And he could look, be like, hell, and walk off.
Simple as that.
Simple as that. It would have been a great build up. Because it would have looked like Bray got in his head. It already did, but then it looked like he could come out and blow off the steam on Morrison.
who's
Listen, which is stupid. You want that hot-headedness going into it. A grade A wrestler, grade A superstar, a grade A superstar.
right.
This is why they're doing this to people that are good talent. If you're gonna have someone job, bring a jobber. Do not disrespect people like that.
No,
I mean, that's how I look at it. It's not disrespecting, but
the best they could have done was really have John Morrison give him a workover before Braun gets the win, because Braun is now distracted from the the swamp, from the actual like promo. But whatever. I mean, you want to disrespect John Morrison like that? I just don't get it.
then we had Lacey Evans versus Naomi. Lacey wins with the women's right. Then we have Matt Riddle versus AJ Styles for the IC title. Styles wins with a roll up, but it was a phenomenal match. Phenomenal. Them two worked very well together, and it was really good.
I can't wait to see like him actually, Riddle really start really blowing Riddle up here. I can't wait to see some more of his matches with AJ.
Yeah, and I want to.
I wouldn't mind seeing. I wouldn't mind seeing him with the title. I wouldn't mind seeing him with the title.
No, but I wanted him. I would have rather seen that, to be honest, on a pay-per-view. I would have rather seen that, even if it's a pre-show.
We're gonna get a pay-per-view out of that,
even if it's a pre-show.
Yeah,
I'll take it. I'm taking it.
And that is
That's
the
it.
week of wrestling. That is the week of wrestling.
Week of wrestling.
Week of wrestling, folks. Not much to talk about, just quick wins and losses this week. But right now, at the top, like I told you, folks, we are going to have the indie star Hayden Farah from IWC, RWA, and PWX on.
Awesome.
Hayden, what's up, man?
What's going on, guys?
Not much, man. Pretty good, man. Pretty good. As we are the bros that run the show with our sunglasses. Even though we got called by Jay, we're looking like a broke Bret Hart, but it's
man. Cool. If I would have known, I would have brought my sunglasses.
See, we'd all had it.
Never too late. Never too late.
But Hayden, man, first things off, man. How long have you been a wrestling fan before? Like, what got you in the wrestling to pursue what you did? To pursue what you did?
Bret Hart. When I was a kid, I seen the Hitman work, and I was hooked. He was my favorite. I wanted to be just like him when I was a kid. Luckily, for a few years, I got to try.
I could see that. So, when did you start out? Like, what year did you start training?
I believe it was 2011, and I trained with IWC.
Okay. And how is training, man? Because I've trained. I know what it's like training, but to our viewers out there, they think that some of our viewers out there who watch the product, think I can do that. I can go out there. I can perform those moves. I can perform this. It's fake. It's that. So what do you see to the viewers who are like who are that skeptical on the business?
It was grueling. I mean, it was many hours in a very hot room, busting my ass, getting broke, getting hurt. All to learn the craft the right way. My training was about a year long. It was basically, the best way I can describe it, was set up like a match. For the first few months, we would learn, lockups, learn, different submissions, different groundwork, just so the foundations, and as simple as what side to get up on, how you run the ropes, how you climb the ropes, how you get out of the ring, how you get in the ring, what you should never do to show disrespect to your opponent, learning, and believe it or not, a certain way to shake hands, to let like, look, I'm going to take care of you in the ring. You don't got to worry about me. Like, there's just certain little ins and outs of the business that you have to learn, the Iggy, or giving someone in the office, learning, what signs to pick up from a veteran. So the first 3 months, I would say, was a lot more knowledge-based, very little in-ring work. It was basically working out a lot. It was almost PT, like. The second set of months was learning, more impact moves, learning, shoulder tackles and takeovers, and, learning how to hip toss, and, just taking the really bigger bumps. And then the last 3 months was putting it all together, learning how to work a match, learning what kind. By then, you're starting to see what kind of person you are in the ring. So you're starting to look at your character development. So it's really all putting it together. And then the final test is you have a match with one of your classmates and you have to put it on front to back, full character. We didn't really have characters per se by the end, but you'd come up with whatever you were, and then you'd have to be that character. One of my final tests, we actually had to get into character. Like I had to be Stone Cold, and my opponent had to be Mankind. So the practice was, can I do their mannerisms? Can I become that character in front of a crowd of, other veterans and, the promoter and everything like that? And then once they seen like, okay, yeah, this guy has a little bit of character to him. What's your ideas? What is your ideas for your character? And then, we kind of develop that, and then we have to go and put on a full match. So it was really set up the same structure as a match. You have, your intro moves, your bigger, and then we had to learn how to work a comeback and more psychology. So
a lot of psychology in the ring.
a ton of psychology.
And when you did finally get through all of that training and then you get to your first show, tell us, like, let them know, like, let people know out there the like how you pay your dues.
See,
because
we normally work security. You show up there, you load in the ring, hours beforehand. You make sure everything is perfect. You make sure the ropes are tightened right. You make sure the boards are in place a certain way. You make sure the mat's cleaned. You make sure the chairs are in place, the guardrails. You see if anybody, any of the vets need anything. And then when it comes time, they hand you your shirt and you're out there. You're either reffing or you're security. A lot of the times I was security. So if somebody got unruly and, we had to go in and break up a fight in the ring, that would be where we would come in.
Right.
If security guards are getting beat up and hit with chairs, the students are the first ones that, are up to bat for that. So I had to take a couple chair shots, paying your dues and everything like that. And I did things a little differently because I kind of got thrown into my character. I was still training, and I went to a Black Diamond show, which is down in West Virginia. And I went with, I don't know if you guys know him, but Chess Flexor. He's actually with IWC right now.
Okay.
I went down with him. And I walked in and they were short carded. So they asked me to work. My shoot last name is Slaughter. So IWC didn't want me to use Slaughter in my character at all, just because they were thinking they might want to use it. They didn't. So he started asking me, okay, well, what's some bands that you like? I was like, trust me, man, no bands I listen to are going to make a wrestling name. And they were like, well, what are your kids' names? I'm like, well, they're Hayden and Farrah. That's your gimmick right there. That's Hayden Farrah. So I just kind of had to build my character around that night getting thrown into the ring. So it was fun, though. I'm glad I got to do it that way. It was more on the fly, more spontaneous.
Yeah.
So
what did people think when you actually wanted to start wrestling?
I've always been like, I don't want to say artsy, but I've always been a performer. Like I was in a band. I'm a drummer, so I'm used to performing. So they knew that I kind of wanted to do something out in the crowd. So this really didn't surprise them. I mean, I've done everything from snowboarding, kickboxing. I mean, I'm all over the place. So when I said I wanted to be a wrestler, my now wife, she wasn't surprised at all. Like they were like, yeah, that figures. I think you'd be good at that.
And with everything, like, you paid your dues, you get in there, but through that year time, the training obviously isn't free. I mean, we obviously know the training is not free.
No.
So, I mean, financially, what are we looking at here for anybody who might want to get into wrestling?
Around $2,000.
Around $2,000.
Around $2,000. Now, a lot of if I was going to say go to IWC, they have top tier training. My trainer, Justin Idol, I am so fortunate that I got to train with him, and Super Hentai, Dean Radford, when he was over there. He's now on PWX. Those guys really, really helped shape my in-ring career. Justin Idol was a little bit smaller of a guy. Like I'm only 5'8". So it really kind of it helped me training with somebody who was a lot similar to me. So I got to learn how to move right. And it was more my style. I mean, a bigger guy, I couldn't have pulled a character or even training with somebody like that off, because that's not my physique. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but yeah, around $2,000 is what you're normally looking at. If you're not paying somewhere around there, I would really look into what school you're choosing, because that's you want to pay to learn,
Right,
and
right.
you want to make sure you're paying top dollar to train with top notch people.
Right. And Luch, any questions for him?
Yeah.
You got a ton, man.
So, did you ever freeze like in the ring? Did you ever have like that moment where you're like, like,
Oh yeah,
what's next? What's next?
all the time. I mean, I've been in front of crowds before, but every time I get nervous. And there's some guys that they do not want to plan anything out, so you're just going out and winging it. So sometimes, early on, I trying to do things on the fly, and you're really not to that veteran level yet. They usually say they'll consider you a veteran, at least so I've heard, after about 50 matches. So those first couple you freeze a lot because you just don't know how to read your opponents very well. A lot of these guys are still new. So it took me a couple years to really be able to read a crowd and read my opponents and, kind of get their in-ring style. So I've definitely frozen quite a few times. And there's also been times where I froze because I got knocked out.
And so take us through, like, what was your very first, who was your first match against then?
It was Chess Fletcher that night at Black Diamond.
Okay.
Like I said, we walked in. They were like, "You're short carded. I'll let you work chess. Just come up with a gimmick." Came up with one. I went out there in probably the most generic, like, leotard I could find that I had. And I mean, I jobbed out to him. But what I didn't know is I actually knocked him unconscious in the ring, but he was still working though. Like, I didn't even know that this dude was lights out. That's how long he's been working. It was just like he was on autopilot. He didn't even come to probably until the dressing room. But I gave him a spine buster and I spun the wrong way. So that's my first match, nervous, didn't even think about it. So he didn't really know what I was doing. So I turned and I just drilled him into the mat and his head snapped back and he was out. But during him being unconscious, he actually gave me a pile driver, and that's how he got the win. But if I would have known that he was unconscious, I definitely would not have let him give me a pile driver. But that was my first match in a nutshell. He threw a little bit more comedy. I don't know if you guys know Chess, but he has a pretty good comedy gimmick that he works really well.
Yeah, wow. I've seen his work. He's actually pretty good in the ring with that, with the way he is.
Yeah.
So we were able to, do some comedy with the ref, do some comedy with me, and then, of course, comes first time for the big moves, and I drill him the wrong way and knock him out. But
yeah,
it ended up going well.
Did you at least apologize to him and not get, and you didn't draw any heat, did you?
No, not at all. Like,
okay. No,
he was very nice to me. Like, he's always been really cool. We've hung out outside of the ring for a few years after that. I don't talk to him too much anymore, just because he's still working and all that stuff. But he was really cool. No heat at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's your current take now on the product today?
I really love what AEW is doing. That would be like my top.
AEW.
Like, that's my top product right now. I don't want to say I'm disappointed, but it's just become too much of a predictable show with WWE for me. As a worker, I can just sit there and call things, and it kind of takes some of the magic out of it as a worker. And once you cross that line, there's really no going back. So I can be like, watching it, I'm like, he blew that spot. Oh, that was rough. I can see them talking. So it's like I'm looking at it as a worker now. So AEW, they are doing great things. I love watching it.
Yes.
But I try to stay up with the major events with WWE, but I'm really not too thrilled with the writing right now. I definitely think they need to make some changes writing. It's just it's too predictable. 100%. When I'm like watching, just like the other day with R-Truth, and like, I forget what he was, but there were like ninjas in the ring.
Yeah.
It's just, I learned from old school guys, so I've really adopted a lot of the old school traditions, and just like having goofy ninjas in the ring, like to me that ain't wrestling. It's just not wrestling to me.
Right,
Um,
right, right.
I want to see characters in the ring working, not talking. I mean, you always have those guys that are really good at talking, but it just seems like too much. There's not enough real wrestling going on.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
where I think AEW is at. Like, they have great promos, but they have great action to back it up. I mean, anything that Jericho's in, like, he's always a top favorite of mine. So it's like I love watching him work. But you know, I really have to back AEW a lot more now.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
I do agree with that too.
Another question: would you want to be in the business in any other way? Like, if any other way?
I don't think so, because I'd be too tempted to want to get in the ring. And you know, the reason I left is because I kept hurting my neck. So I would just be too tempted to get in there. Like, I've thought about going back as a manager, or, you know, like trying to take a new guy under the wing, but I'd be too tempted. Like, once you get in there, man, you can't stop. Like,
Yeah.
even Sean was telling me he's thinking about doing it. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
brother, we're old men now. Like,
But with speaking to that, with you having to stop, how long did you wrestle for?
about 6 years.
6 years. So you went between, you said IWC, RWA, and PWX.
Yeah.
So,
RWA was one of the last ones I worked for. I started off, like what I said, with IWC. Worked there a little bit. You know, I love IWC's product, but they're really, really geared for that next level talent, which guys are like 6'5" and real built. And like, there are smaller guys that do that, but I felt like I could have a better chance of getting in the ring and working. So I went to PWX, and, you know, I told the promoter, you know, there was no heat or anything with me leaving, at least far as I know. And Quinn at PWX, when he was still the promoter there, he took me under his wing, and, you know, he helped me out and gave me some shots in the ring, and, you know, helped me, you know, actually become a tag team champion over there for a little bit. So I was really thankful for my time at PWX. I really learned a lot there.
And how hard is it? Like, some people don't realize, like, when you're working one promotion, like, some people are like, oh, they work AEW, but then they work New Japan. Like, how hard is that? Let people know, how hard is that, like, to actually go from one promotion to another? Because
it actually is pretty difficult. Like,
yeah.
I've seen guys take a lot of heat, because when you're in like this indie scene, there's no contracts, there's no real money involved. You're wrestling with your buddies, your friends on the road. So when you go and you pay at one place and then you want to go to another place, people tend to take that a little personal. It's like, well, wait a minute, man. Like, this is our brotherhood over here. Why are you leaving? You know, so I've seen it go both ways. You know, if you have enough hype for you in the area, it's silly to keep you at one promotion. You have to get, you know, exposed more, especially if you're going to grow. But,
Right.
You know, I'll be the first to say I was a mid-carder, early card guy. So they really look at you for like the workhorses, and, you know, work every single week and get squashed and all that stuff. So they really rely on you to be there. So when you want to leave and go somewhere else, sometimes they do take it personal. So it can be pretty tough.
And money wise, as you said, it's not the greatest finance. What do you look at per? What are you looking at per match? $30, $20, $50.
About $50. Sometimes 20. Sometimes, you know, I've wrestled for free just because I wanted to work and I wanted to get practice. Usually, unless you're working at multiple promotions and you have a name, $20 to $50.
Oh, yeah.
You do this. You don't do this for the money. You do it because you love to work and you love wrestling.
Right.
Especially at
Very
this
true.
level.
Very
You know, once money takes over, I think in pretty much any sport, you really lose the drive and the heart of it. You're more worried about your contract or your money. This is just for the love of it. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So did it ever go too far in the ring? You know, sometimes I hear stories that, you know, it took one hard chop for it to be like, all right, we're going.
I've seen some shit go down. Sammy Callahan, I've seen him kick people in the face to the point they were unconscious because he just didn't like a move they did, or they worked him a little stiff. Well, I lost one of my buds there. For me, I'm not going to say any names, but he like came in and literally, like, I used to have a mohawk for my character and he ripped my hair out. Like, it's like, bro, we're putting on a show. Like, we're not really fighting here. Like, we're trying to, and he ripped out my hair and then he ripped my gimmick. And, part of my gimmick at the time with PWX was I would wrestle in dress suits. I was like the sexiest rock star in wrestling. So I would come out and he just ripped my suit off. And, when you're going to do that stuff, it's fine. Let the other guy know, hey, man, when I come out there, I'm going to grab your hair. I'm going to rip your shirt, whatever. Because you don't know how expensive their gear might be or where they got it. So you don't want to just come out there and trash someone's stuff. But he was really laying in work. And it's like, when you're chopping wood on somebody and you're really beating their ass, luckily I remained professional. He was the veteran, so I didn't want to do anything, but I had to say something after the match. Like, it was just not cool. Like, you don't come here and rip my hair out. Like, you don't rip my gear unless you talk to me first. Like, that's not cool. That's really the only instance I had where, I caught or had any heat with somebody in the ring. Most of the time, everybody that I worked with was very professional. It was a lot of my friends. We had a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, I really haven't experienced it too much, but I've certainly seen it.
Have you seen any of have you ever seen any of the dirty end of the business? I mean, as we're talking, shake a pill bottle and everybody's heads turn type. Have you ever seen that dirty end of the business in the indie scene, or is that more when we get more professional?
Indies is like, in my opinion, I feel like Indies is, it's break time, and then they come in and their eyes are all red and low, and like they're chiefing on something in the back.
No, I haven't really seen too much of that. Like, honestly, I've witnessed it more with some of the legends. Like, shit, the first time I met Sabu, very politely went up to him, hey man, I've worked at the same promotion you were just at. Like, it's really nice to finally meet you in person. I have a lot of respect for you. And his response was, do you have any oxies?
Oh yeah, he's
wow.
So I was like,
that's that ECW. That's ECW right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Which brings me to my next question. How many guys have you actually met backstage and stuff, like them, like the bigger guys, and which ones were nice, which ones take the time and talk to you guys, and which ones are get away?
Two of my favorite people that I got to meet that actually took the time to really hang out with me and talk to me. Shane Douglas was one, and the Hurricane. He took me backstage at an RWA show, and I mean, me, him, and a couple other people that were there just probably talked for an hour or two. I mean, just telling us about his experiences in the business, what we can do. Because he watched our matches, and he was like, you could try this or do this. It was really cool. Shane Douglas, the exact same way. I got to work in a match with him, not specifically, but we were all in a group tag match, and he was just saying different things that I could do in the ring, and same thing for everyone that was with us, but it was just talking to business. It was really cool, really enlightening, and it was nice to see that. Other guys I've got to meet that we really didn't have too much interaction with a lot of the stars, especially when I was first starting in IWC, because I'm security. They're not really letting me talk to anybody. But Roddy Piper was one that stuck out to me. Vader, for sure.
I heard Vader's actually a really nice guy.
Yeah, dude, he was a gentle giant when he talked to me. He shook my hand. He said, he thanked me for being there. Like, buddy, I'm your security. I don't know what you're thanking me for, but he thanked me, and for doing what I do, because I mean, he knows that we're out there setting up the ring. I'm guessing. I mean, that's the only reason I can think he thanked me. I got to meet Scott Hall, Ric Flair, Jeff Jarrett. God, there's so many.
Yeah, how was meeting Ric Flair? As I heard, it could go either way when you meet him.
I only had a real quick interaction with him. I was doing the Ric Flair Battle Invitational with IWC. I don't know how many years ago. He went out there and did his promo. He came back. He's like, all right, guys, I got them all warmed up for you. Go give them hell. And that was pretty much it. So, I mean, he like shook our hands, said good luck, and we were off. So that's really the only interaction I had with him. But it was still nice to meet him and shake his hand.
Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
he's one of the best.
I don't want to say that until I meet Hitman.
That is true. That is true. And
what's the worst? Oh wait, Sean, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Right ahead.
What's the worst bump you ever took?
Actually, it was in training. We were learning superplexes, and I hesitated.
Oh God.
Thankfully, my friend had my head cradled, because if his arm wouldn't have been there, I have no doubt I would have broke my neck. Like, I came down almost directly on my head. I just didn't rotate at all. Like, he absolutely saved my life that day. Like, at least in my eyes, he did.
Did they at least know? Did the trainers know that you hesitated almost?
Oh yeah, I mean, Justin was there, and he seen what happened, and he said, this is what happened. Let's try to avoid that. And then, like, luckily, we were trying it on crash pads after that. But
right,
our class, we were. I won't even lie. We were a pretty good class, so we moved through moves quite well. A lot of us were very athletic. There were some better guys than me, but we just moved. We had chemistry. So we really wouldn't take bumps on crash pads too much, just because we felt ready. Like, we were just going. So, I seen my friends do it. I was like, man, I can get up there and do that. I'll be fine. I mean, I've done all this shit for the last 8 months. Got up there, and it's just a different ball game when I can't see where I'm going. And I just, that one split second, man, like, if he wouldn't have had my head, for sure.
That's awesome, because that leads me into like the next question. What was the hardest thing for you to learn? Beginning, when you started, what was the hardest thing to learn?
Learning which direction to move in the ring, because you want to move to your left, just because that's the way you're taught. It's the way they, it's all, I hate using this analogy, but you're dancing in the ring, and you have to know which way to move, especially if you fall down or slip. You don't want to, you put your arm out the wrong way to get up. Someone could step on your hand, break your hand, anything. So just remembering all those little tiny things that you have in the ring, psychology wise, was definitely the hardest thing, I think, for me. You have to make people believe this, I mean, everyone knows today that it's entertainment. But we are out there breaking our bodies for this. But it's not, but my job is to suck you into this show. So learning how to do that is very difficult. And not everybody can do that well. I mean, I'll be the first to say I had trouble separating Hayden and Tony, like, because I just always acted the same. So at first it was really hard, because I would laugh when people would say my name or whatever, because, like, I'm Tony. Like, what do you mean? Oh, like, no, I'm Hayden. I am Hayden now. So when I walk in these doors, I'm Hayden. So that would be, I think, really making your character part of yourself. That was the toughest thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you did finally get that character in place, like your Hayden character, and you knew, okay, I'm Hayden when I walk through these doors. I am Tony when I walk home. At a certain point, did it become that you were, Jesus, you're walking home going, I'm still Hayden and not?
Yeah, to
an
extent, yes, because once it finally clicked that, I always thought they were two different people. I need to be Hayden here, but as I was in the business more, the best characters are yourself turned up to 11. That's exactly what they would say to me. So I was already, I had recordings. I had been signed to a record label briefly. So I'm like, okay, well, like, I'm kind of I have like a rock star attitude when I'm with my band, and maybe I can do that. Maybe Hayden Farah is this character. So once I kind of just took my real life stuff in there and just I learned how to turn that up to be over the top. That's really when I noticed, when I was a heel, people would really boo the shit out of me. Or I mean, like at PWX, I've seen ladies go into like damn near seizures yelling at me and my friends. It was nuts. Like, I mean,
Love
once
it.
we really learned how to take that character to the next level, I mean, I had wars with fans on Facebook where like I was telling, like they were telling me to die, and like they hated me, and they were like, they were going to wait outside the show and beat our ass. Like, so, I mean, like it took a while, but once I really got that down and I was around the right people that could really help bring that out, that's when things got a lot better for me psychology wise.
Yeah. So with that, with the fan part of it, because we know fans are crazy. Us wrestling fans are just insanely crazy. Have you had instances where people have charged into the ring or were waiting for you outside? Because I know when I was there and I helped with the security, we've had quite a couple of fans wanting to jump over the guardrails and one or two wait outside because they're going to beat Dean Radford up. And okay.
Luckily with me,
go.
other than that one instance, no. Most of the time I was a face, especially like after like later PWX. At first I was GQ Hayden Farah and I was like this sexy rock star. But after it became more of like a dialed down, like dive bar rock star type thing, people kind of just started cheering me. Like, and it was really hard because a lot of the fans, I mean, these are local people. I see them outside. They know me. So your friends and your family aren't going to come to a show and boo you no matter how many times. Like, look, guys, I'm the heel, so you can't cheer for me. Like, you can't do that. It's going to ruin the show. Like, at least for me anyway. So after like, you know, people started coming and like they would cheer for me, it just kind of became easier for me to be a face because no one was really buying a heel anymore.
So, I mean, did you ever see fans actually jump in the ring? I mean, what is the rule? As you could tell, if you go to jump in the ring, what is the rule on?
Expect to get your ass beat for sure. You go in that ring and they are going to beat your ass. They will not hold back. Like, they will not hesitate. They do not play games with that. Yeah, I've seen fans get knocked out doing that kind of shit. Like, they think it's funny. You know, they want to be part of the show. Those veterans don't want you to be part of the show, and they will not hesitate. If you want your wish, you're going to get it in a big way.
I mean, you can't.
It's great.
You can't expect that like not to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Jump over the guardrail, like it's like you guys know each other, like really, like. Oh, and I'm just not going to let you beat my friend's ass.
Exactly. I've seen it go down with even referees cross some lines and veterans have knocked them out cold, like just decked them in the ring. Yeah. Luckily that only happened once, but I mean, I've seen people get some heat and yeah. Fans normally, I only see them get ejected. You know, people get a little too into the show. They start swearing and saying some of the most outlandish things, racial slurs and all that stuff. Once that happens, normally I just see them exit it out. You don't really see them trying to get in the ring. But every now and then, you know, it's a pretty rare occurrence, especially nowadays.
My other question is, would you say that the referee's job is the hardest job in the wrestling business today?
Yes, hands down. You know, working is tough. But the ref, you got to know the match front to back, at least on a more professional level, like WWE, AEW, all that stuff. You know, the referee on our level, usually they only want to work the finish. They know their general rules, what they can do. But you have a few standout refs that want to know a lot more. And knowing what to say, how the guys are okay, knowing when something's wrong, knowing when a spot is off, knowing when to take it home. And being able to communicate to us as workers, you know, it's no secret that, you know, wrestlers have memory issues. And a lot of these refs know our match so they can keep us where we need to be. You know, there's been a couple times I've been in the ring and be like, hey, Sean, what's next? Oh, you guys got to do this, and this. Oh, thanks. Okay, that triggered that. So then we can keep working and work back into that. I definitely think it's the hardest job for sure.
And you said you left the business because of injuries with your neck. So What was it? Just taking too many bumps? Was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, taking too many bumps. I noticed like I wasn't healing as fast as I was before. I noticed I had a lot of trouble like concentrating in my normal day-to-day life. And it was like, man, you hear and see all these other wrestlers, later in their life having a lot of issues. And it just came down to, you know, is this, $20 to $50 payday worth it? Like I can still love wrestling and not have to work it and kill myself. Because it was no secret to me, like I wasn't going to make it to the WWE, nor did I really want. That wasn't my goal. I wanted to be where I was and have fun. It just wasn't. It wasn't worth the risk anymore. I just, I didn't want to be one day, going out there and breaking my neck or damaging my neck to the point where I had nerve damage or something like that. Because, though you learn how to fall, it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Like
Right.
When you take a German suplex, and if you take it the right way, or if you take it the wrong way, you have to. It's one of those moves where you have to be perfect on it, and if you're not, it could go really bad. And there was a couple times I took German suplexes just a little too far on my neck, and it just got to the point where I was like, I can't keep doing this.
Right.
I
And
miss
is
it
there-
for sure.
Yeah, I bet. Any matches that come to mind that were great for you? I know you mentioned you won the tag team belts in PWX, but any like wrestlers that you faced that you go like, hey, this was probably one of my best matches that I've had as a single guy.
Really, the only matches lately that I've been focusing on are my ones with Michael Blade. He was one of my really, really close friends, and he passed away last month. So right now I'm kind of holding those matches in high regard just because it's still pretty fresh for me.
Right.
But he was a guy that really helped me in the ring and learned. I learned to call things on the fly without planning so much from him. We always had a lot of fun. It was never a pressure situation. I mean, there's been times in the ring where, working with him, I'd go to give him a back suplex. And he'd be like, "Oh man, don't do that. I'm going to shit my pants." And he just like kept you laughing. Like he kept you in a good mood in the ring.
Yeah.
So you could just work a little bit better. And, those matches, although they weren't like big card matches where there was like a ton of people there, it's something that I still hold in high regard. Zuboff working over at RWA was another really fun guy to work with. Cassidy Stone, PWX. Me and him had a good match, a couple good matches. Do you know Crusher Hansen?
Crusher, no.
He was at PWX for a while,
Okay.
and he and his tag team partner had this gimmick. They were the enforcing officials, and they were actually referees who were a tag team who would enforce the matches during the match.
That's fun. That's funny.
Had such good chemistry with them when I was there. Me and my tag team partner, we had some really, really fun matches. Like I loved those matches. Their gimmick just worked so perfectly for everything. They were like the greatest heels that I remember working with for sure. Like, so anything with the enforcing officials, which I think I actually have on my YouTube, like, those are fun ones.
Any great anything that any finishers that you've taken that you consider like a really good finisher that you took for somebody?
As simple as it is, Chris Taylor, him giving the cutter is always phenomenal. Other than that, I can't think of one that like really stands out that I'm like, man, I love taking that finisher, or like they did it so pretty. To be honest, a lot of my memory of that time, I had like 8 concussions, so I don't remember everything about that time.
Right.
But off the top of my head, one of Chris Taylor for sure. Me and him working, and me and him always made that cutter look good.
And what was your finishing move then?
I had 2. I would do the Blue Thunder Bomb
Okay.
on more lighter opponents like myself. If I had somebody that was bigger than me, I would do I think it was the Final Cut. I
Okay.
think Big Show had it. So you pull them in like you're going to do a reverse DDT and swing your elbow in and just drive your elbow to the chest. So, yeah, those were my 2 finishers. I had a submission, but I got to use it like once. So I don't really count that. But the Blue Thunder Bomb is one I did the most.
That's when you did the most. I mean, that's always a nice sweet move if it's done properly.
I didn't do it as good as
Always
Sami Zayn did it, but fuck, I tried.
You did you tried.
Man, his is beautiful. Like
It is a beautiful finish.
Yeah, he is talented.
yeah, that guy can
And,
work for sure.
Yeah, man. We appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having
Like
me.
I said, we are the loudest mouths in the business right now. That's how we consider ourselves. And we're just growing and growing. The other thing, man, we would love to have you come back on. We're gonna be having a wrestling quiz show. So we're gonna be asking basically quizzing people on wrestling, how well you know wrestling. And it's not gonna be like WWE, but we're gonna go kind of like AEW and TNA and
Okay.
so kind of like
Wrestling from all over. This is
wrestling from all over,
and
it's called Ringonology. So
I'm
how well
down,
do you
yeah.
know? How do you know?
and
I'll do
also-
terrible, but I'll try.
Also, we would like to have you back on for we're gonna be doing soon a promo battle. So come on and do a promo. Cut a promo. Somebody else can cut a promo and we grade them. See who wins.
See who wins the promo battle, and if you win, and if you're at the end and you win, you get a loudmouth T-shirt on us. So
Deal. I'll do it.
we'd love to have you back on, man. But it was
sounds good,
great
dude.
having you on, man. So
All
great
right,
having
man,
you on.
guys take it easy.
You take it easy
Yeah,
too.
you too, my man.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, man. Bye.
Bye.
All right, folks. Who you just heard was Hayden Farah of IWC, RWA, and PWX. Such a great guy.
Awesome.
Could you agree? Awesome guy.
Awesome guy. Knows the business, and you can tell
know-
he likes the business.
Loves it. Likes it. He
Loves it.
loves the
Loves
business.
it.
He loves everything that's going on with the business today.
Loves it.
Yeah, I mean, just hearing some of those stories, which is hilarious.
I love any type of wrestling story from indies to the big times. Anything that's just I don't know, just feels good.
Yeah, it's something that makes you feel good. I still have goosebumps. You know what I mean? Hearing some of the stories,
Exactly.
some of the stuff we're talking about. But definitely, right now we're going to go into our predictions for this Sunday, the horror show at Extreme Rules.
Okay, it's the Extreme Rules horror show. Off the bat, it's gonna be a lot of stuff going on. So we're gonna have Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt at a Wyatt Swamp match.
Personally, I'm going to take right now, or off the bat, I'm going to take Bray Wyatt wins this match, and he buries Braun in the swamp and brings back that monster heel of Braun Strowman, while Bray carries monster among. I mean, I think he's going to be even more evil than that. I think he's going to become even more evil. I think, and Bray carries that Universal title again. But what I would love to see is Braun and Bray and the Fiend. Just you have that whole whole story.
I'm thinking Bray's gonna lose. Braun's gonna win. I just don't think that it's the right time for Braun to drop it. I just don't believe it. I think that Braun, he has talent.
I think he's been a boring. I think he's been a boring champion. I think he's been a very boring champion. He hasn't he hasn't defended it. When did he defend it? When was the last time he defended it? A pay-per-view against Miz and Morrison. Other than that, he hasn't defended anything. Like he hasn't.
Okay, but I mean, like
it's kind of boring. He's boring to me when he comes out.
Okay,
he's like,
so what? You bring Bray, right? You bring him as champ, right? What, you're gonna have him every Friday, like defending it?
I mean,
like, you can't like. I mean, I get what you're saying. Like the character is actually starting to get stale. I will agree with that.
Yes.
But I don't think that there's that much to do. I mean, like right now, I'm sorry, there's not much to do for them. They have lack of talent. They have lack of what they could do. I mean, like really, I mean, like they've been this has been carrying on for how long? Like this feud.
Yeah.
So like I understand.
Yeah,
But
I think it's just I
it's
think
gonna
Bray
be a
would be
great
a
match.
I think
for
Bray would be a
cinematic.
better I think Bray would be a better champion though because people want to see Bray. They
People want to
like
see Bray.
when I watch SmackDown, I watch it because I know Bray Wyatt might be on. I want to
Oh
see
yeah,
Bray
I mean,
Wyatt.
I agree. I mean,
And that's the thing. It's like I'm not watching, and when Bray's not on, I'm not watching SmackDown because I want to see Braun. I'm watching SmackDown because I want to see AJ Styles and Matt Riddle and Bailey and Sasha and like that's. I'm not so concerned about the Universal title at that time. But if Bray carries the Universal title, Bray can make it his own kind of own title, and
no, we don't
you know,
want another custom Fiend title. That shit was ugly. We don't want nothing. We don't want none of that.
just like the spinner was ugly. But okay, go ahead.
Tripping. All right, so we had Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler for the WWE Championship match. We do not know the stipulation yet. Right now we're gonna put out 3 guesses each on what
Yeah.
it's gonna be. My top one, to be honest, I feel like Dolph might do a like one arm tie behind your back type of deal or some stuff like that. Um, no DQ. And the last one is hard because like I'm trying to think of what would benefit Dolph in this, but it's like what can? What can? The money grab belt.
Money grab belt. I was gonna say Danny Navarro just. I was gonna say about to say that is Danny Navarro just said the money grab belt. I mean, please, Danny, elaborate some more on the money grab belt. I don't know where you're going with that. So if you're still watching, please let me know what do you mean by the money grab belt.
But I believe we're on Drew. I don't know about the last one. Maybe a handicap. A handicap. That's my 3. It's either going to be like one arm tied behind his back, handicap, or no DQ. That's my 3.
So my 3, I'm going to think of a no DQ. No DQ. It's going to be like an all out brawl, like just an all brawl. Oh, the Fiend
Oh yeah,
belt equals the money. Oh,
I agree.
I agree.
That's
I agree.
true.
Yeah,
If you're a fan of the Fiend, you wanted that belt, and it was a $500 belt, and Vince made his money off of it.
Yes, he did.
I 1,000% agree with you, Danny.
Absolutely. So I think it's going to be like you said, no DQ. False count. It might be a false count anywhere match. I can go with you on the handicap, like the one arm tie behind the back. I could say one arm tie behind the back. And great. That's what I was going to say. No Claymore.
That's a good one.
That's a good one, Danny. No Claymore. I was actually going to go with that myself. I think he's going to say that he's not allowed to use the Claymore. If he uses the Claymore, he then has to be stripped of the WWE title and given to Dolph, because that's that Christian Randy Orton deal where if Randy Orton used the RKO, Christian would then be awarded to the WWE title. So yes, I believe
that
that's
was a very good one.
Very good one. I think it is going to be a no Claymore. No Claymore stipulation. So it's WWE's very long-term booking. I like it. Yes, it is. Yes.
That's very true, my man. Very true.
True.
All right, and then we're gonna go on to Asuka versus Sasha Banks for Raw Women's Championship match. To be honest,
I say Asuka's win on the technicality that Bailey's going to get involved, and that's where you're going to see the breakup.
Nope. Sasha's going to win. They're going to let both of them hold the titles.
I don't know about that. I think it's coming down that Sasha's going to turn on Bailey again, and those two are going to go out.
It has to be on a tag match, in my opinion.
Y'all cover Slammiversary already? No.
No.
We did not get to see Slammiversary at all. So we will. I think Slammiversary is this week coming up. Actually,
no, Slammiversary already happened because
it did happen. Oh, that's when
Carl Anderson and
the
Luke
good-
Gallows, the Good
yeah.
Brothers, came back, and that's the only thing I actually seen. I watch Impact, but like not the paper. I don't watch the
Yeah.
pay-per-views. I watch like updates, but I just didn't catch anything.
Slammiversary
Oh
is
yeah, it's tonight.
It is tonight. So the
Yeah,
Good Brothers, the Good Brothers are actually going to be on tonight. So we'll probably give you an update this week, the following week on the update, or we'll give it to you, or we'll come live Monday and give some results on the Slammiversary and give our outtake on it.
Mhm.
I'm a fan of Impact, but not as a big as fan I am of WWE and TNA. I mean WWE
TNA.
and WWE and AEW. So
Impact is good. They have the right people. They don't have the right people
they don't have the right,
backing them.
they don't have the right booking back there. They
Yeah.
don't have the right writers. So
Very true. And then we're gonna go to Bailey versus Nikki Cross for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
that's Bailey. I'll take Bailey on that one. I don't see Nikki Cross winning.
I think Nikki Cross will have like a very short, very, very, very short.
You think they're going to
Run.
let her? You really think they're going to let her go? Do you think they're
Yes.
really going to put it on her?
Yes. I've read that they're not going to do. They're trying to break them up, break her and Bliss up. I read somewhere, so this might be the way to do it.
I mean, Bliss is very injury prone, so I can understand that.
And then we have Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins in the eye for an eye match. The only way to win, people, is to rip your opponent's eye out of its socket. Now, this is going to be a very theatrical thing. I believe that they're doing way too much theatrical stuff. If let the swamp match be that, they could have let it. They could have let this be a no DQ where Rey has his his revenge or falls count anywhere, or an I Quit match. Anything besides a eye for an eye match. What do you like? I mean, yeah, CGI, but like, we don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. At least I don't want to see that.
Here's my thing. I think Ray's going to lose. I think Ray's going to actually lose the eye that's injured. Just for the simple fact, I think Dominic is going to turn on his dad. I think
and be a disciple because right, and definitely now because of the whole Austin Theory
and
thing.
be a disciple, and he's going to give Seth the he's going to give Seth Rollins the opportunity to rip his dad's eye out, and he's going to say, "I'm a disciple now, Dad."
Yeah. And then we have
what'll happen.
Apollo Crews versus MVP for the U.S. title, the new U.S. title.
MVP.
I want to say MVP, but then it's like I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't
see them. I don't see them taking the title off MVP right now.
And that's all that's popping up. I thought that we were going to see Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy. I don't know what happened to that.
There's no bar fight now?
It's not on and this is straight WWE.com. This is WWE.com.
Oh wow. Okay.
Quick hits. This is the matches.
Maybe it's going to be a pre-match. Maybe it's going to be part of the pre-show of
maybe
part of the pre-show. They're going to show.
We're going to just say who we think, just in case it does pop up. I'm going with Jeff just because of the build-up. Sheamus has been winning, but I do think it's going to be like the hero comes out at the end, and
I think it's still going to be Sheamus. They've been pushing Sheamus a lot, so I think Sheamus is going to get the win in the brawl in the bar fight.
They've been pushing him. I just don't think that they're going to let it. If they let it's so weird because like they cross to me they cross so many boundaries with this feud that if they let him win, it's like I don't know. I just feel like the best way and the best thing to do is to let Jeff win, have Jeff have it. But we'll see come tomorrow night.
Yeah, if that is even going to happen at all, I don't know why it's not on there. But like I said, I pick Sheamus to win the bar fight.
I mean, Maybe I just don't see it. Hopefully we have it. Hopefully it happens. It would be probably another cinematic thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a thing. That's another thing. They're doing way too many of these.
Yes.
Way too many.
One
a pay-per-view.
One a pay-per-view, I'm happy. If it's WrestleMania, give me 2. If it's SummerSlam, maybe give me 2. I wouldn't mind it, but one every pay-per-view for
if they're gonna keep this. I don't know if they'll keep this once live audience shows up.
I would like them to keep it even live audience shows up.
I mean,
they've done it before.
Yeah, it's true.
So I mean, it wouldn't be too bad.
No, it wouldn't be the worst thing.
Wouldn't be the worst thing. They've done the live cinematic things with Randy Orton during Raw. So, you know, when Randy Orton had that feud with Bray Wyatt. So like, you know, it's not. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it at all. And folks, folks, our comment section is open for you guys to let us know what you think of tonight, what you thought of tonight for our show of tonight, what you thought of Hayden Farah. Like I said, that dude's awesome, great dude, great to get to know him. And we have a lot of other things coming up, folks. We have our game show coming up, Ringonology. We have a promo contest coming up. We have promos. Who has the loudest mouth coming up. We have so many different segments that we're bringing to the show, folks. You have to tune in every Saturday at 6 p.m. It's me and Luch here with Loudmouth Off the Top Rope from Loudmouth Sports Talk, Loudmouth Sports Group. We are the loudest mouths in sports today. $20 gets you a Loudmouth T-shirt
or a tank top,
or tank top.
Tank top's a white tank top. They're out now. This is
5 weeks. For the next 5 weeks, we are selling the white muscle tees.
Only $20. I believe 22 if it's a 3X or higher.
Higher, right?
Still, great deal. Great material.
Bombshellbowling.com/loudmouth sports talk.
Get yours today.
Miss Michelle is amazing. When you order it, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get to you, I believe. 2 to 3 weeks for your shirt to get to you. But great material. Miss Michelle couldn't be any better sponsoring us, helping us out here with our show. So, folks, get your T-shirts today. That is all we have now for Loudmouth Off the Top Rope. I'm Sean. That's Luciano. And we'll see you guys next week here on Loudmouth Sports Talk. Bring your promo game next week. Promos. Bring them next week. We want to hear your promos, folks. And that's all we have time for today. From Sean and Luch, Loudmouth Sports Talk, Loudmouth Off Top Rope. We'll see you next week, Saturday, 6 p.m. Don't miss out.